Welcome back to season 2 of Energetically You, where we talk all things healthy habits, abundant mindset, and optimal wellness. I'm your host, Megan Swan, a mindset and wellness coach. I love helping women optimize their wellness through plant-based nutrition, movement, mindfulness, and mindset practices that having them feel more aligned with who they truly are and confident in their own skin. I'm the creator of the Sustainable Integrated Wellness Approach. I am also living in Mexico, and I have been for the last 12 years. At 30, I sold everything and went on my own eat, pray, love journey, if you will. And now at 42, I'm still on my first stop, loving life and feeling more empowered than ever before. This podcast is for incredible humans who are interested in feeling more aligned with who they truly are, confident in their own skin, and able to make more empowered decisions for themselves going forward in their future. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Energetically You. I'm here today with Tricia Nelson. I'm so interested in hearing all about your transformation and the work that you do. Welcome, Tricia.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here, Megan.
Thank you. So tell us your story as much as you wish, as far back you want to go, in what brought you to where you are today.
Oh yeah, we're going to go way back. Okay. Like way back. Because I think I was an emotional eater from the get-go. I mean, as far back as I can remember is like 3-4 years old. And I remember just loving food. Like food was a huge highlight for me. I sneak food, I'd eat food. When we were going out to dinner as a family, I'd have heart palpitations because I love foods at restaurants and blue cheese dressing on my salad and butter and sour cream on my baked potato, so I'm not gonna make people hungry here, but the point is I was really into food. I loved it. And I loved cooking and eating, and sugar was a big highlight for me. And at some point, my sister kind of taught me to binge. She was a binge eater. And so I remember we went down to the local Friendly's stores. I grew up in the Northeast. And so we have Friendly's, it's ice cream store. And we each ordered a pint of ice cream and got a spoon. So we each had a pint, and I was like in 4th grade. And so I learned like you could eat a whole pint all by yourself, so,
Wow.
So that kind of started my binging life, and then big vats of popcorn. And so binging, and binge eating was a thing for me. And I thought it just stemmed from liking food, and I didn't really think a whole lot of more than that, except for the fact that when I hit adolescence, I began to gain weight, and I hated that. And I hated my fat, and I had a roll on my tummy that I would scrunch up in my hands and imagine cutting off. And so I really had this experience with food where, I didn't like what it was doing to me. I love food, but I didn't like what it did to me. And so basically I had I thought about getting a disease. I literally had thoughts of, maybe I'll get a disease or I'll automatically lose weight without dieting, and so I was kind of desperate, my weight loss struggle. And I did try lots of things. You do the usual, diets and exercise plans, and then you do the pills and potions and lotions. And then, I went deeper. I went to 12-step programs for food. I went to an eating disorders therapist eventually. I went twice a week for a year to an eating disorders therapist. But I have to tell you, none of those things really moved the needle for me very far. I could lose weight, but I would always put it back on. And so I had like 5 different sizes of pants in my closet as a result, because I never knew what size I'd be. So this is kind of how it went. And at some point, Megan, I got really discouraged, and I thought, I'm trying this hard, and I'm getting nowhere, And so, I could lose weight, but I'd always gain it back. I was a yo-yoer. So I'd be like down 30, up 20, down 10, up 30, And so, I was very frustrated. And at some point I just thought, I can't keep doing this. I cannot keep doing this. And I think that was a little cry for help at some point, in a spiritual way. I was like, God help, this is not working. And what happened was I met somebody who became my mentor, and this person had lost over 100 pounds and then was, able to heal and showed me what he did. And so that turned everything around for me. And what the crux of it was addressing and healing emotional eating. And so that was really it. It's like, I wasn't lacking in nutritional information. Like I knew salads were better than pizza. I knew broccoli was a better choice than potatoes. I mean, it's sort of like, or French fries. So I knew these things, but I couldn't do what I knew. Right. And so I had to go deeper, and I had to address my emotional connection with food, why food was my go-to for everything. And that really turned everything around for me. And then, of course, fast forward 30 years, I actually joined my mentor in helping others many, many years ago. And we worked together for many years. And then about 5 years ago, I founded Heal Your Hunger. And I've been working with women online ever since.
Wow. And I bet there's a huge need for this type of work. I talk a lot with my clients about intuitive eating. And I think there are some similarities in that it's basically learning to tune in again to something that every other animal on the planet automatically knows. We have somehow, as a species, disconnected ourselves from what we're ingesting to how we feel. Can you touch a little bit on that?
Yeah. Intuitive eating is something I personally wasn't able to do very well because my signals were so off. Like I used food as like companionship, a solution for loneliness, totally my stress reliever. I mean, it was my entertainment. It was so many things to me that I would often intuit that I should eat when I shouldn't necessarily eat. Like when I wasn't hungry, it was emotional hunger, not physical hunger. And so I actually, and in addition to that, I totally get where you're coming from. And the concept is a very sound concept. I just was so off in my signals that I couldn't tell what intuition was. Of course, after overcoming emotional eating, it's become a lot more intuitive in that I'm not emotionally eating now, so I can tell what foods are doing to me and for me. I can tell what the difference is between emotional hunger and physical hunger. But initially, it helped me to do what I recommend to my clients is something I call free meal magic, which is eating 3 meals with nothing in between, which is pretty basic, right? And I don't even get detailed about what those meals should be. It's just put some space between your meals so you can start identifying signals, so you can realize that if you have had breakfast and it was a healthy breakfast, good protein, good fats and nourishing, you tasted good, felt good, then if you're hungry at 10 a.m. and you feel like you're starving and you have to go to the refrigerator, chances are it's not physical, right? Because you had a good breakfast, but that was 2 hours ago. So you're probably not starving. I mean, I literally would tell myself I'm starving, And so, but it was just because I was so used to feeding myself all the time and feeding the emotions. So that space between the meals is kind of like training wheels for people, for them to have some time, some downtime where their digestion is doing its thing and they are starting to get, we just have to start there to get in touch with what those signals are. And if we know we've eaten, we're not on the starvation or the, intermittent fasting plan, we're really just feeding ourselves in a good, way. Not that IF is bad, but for emotional eaters, it can be really triggering. Yeah. So it's just important that we have to start to see what those signals are and learn new ways of dealing with the emotional hunger, instead of feeding that.
Totally. So how do you suggest that people kind of separate, besides separating and putting time between their meals, what are some other tools that help people suffering from emotional eating build out the concept of what is emotional versus what is physical.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I've been doing this work for over 30 years, and sometimes they seem like emotional hunger will literally, like, I can get a growl in my stomach even if it's emotional. It's so crazy. So so much of our eating comes from stress. And so I'm a big proponent of creating a morning routine where you're starting to, address your stress and actually I call it putting money in your spiritual bank account. Like first thing in the morning, like put money in that bank account so you've got something to draw on later when you're stressed out, the demands of the day have piled up. Because my experience with emotional eaters is, around 4:00 in the afternoon, 3-4 o'clock is when we really start to cave. And from then on, it's, it's a free for all, like a nighttime eating is a big deal for emotional eaters, very common. But if we put money in our spiritual bank account first thing in the morning, it's like you're building up your stores, and you have something to draw on later. I find that so helpful. So, I call them 6 self-care success secrets, which are meditation, prayer, reading spiritual literature, journaling, like writing in your journal, walking, and I like to walk and pray at the same time. So walking and then talking, like expressing yourself, having a way to emote, and just, get things out, get the squirrel out of the cage. So those are the six self-care success secrets. And doing a morning routine, like for me, it's prayer and meditation first thing. I read from some spiritual books as well. It's just feeding me. It's like feeding me at the level I'm actually hungry, because so much of our hunger is for depth and for, spiritual nourishment, a meaning of life, a sense of purpose, a sense of connection. So those things I have to give myself, I have to work on that. It doesn't just happen, but the emotional hunger does come from a feeling of being disconnected, not being in touch with ourselves emotionally, and like not being integrated. That's why writing is so great. Just having a daily practice of journaling, which you probably recommend as well. It helps us get stuff out so we don't have to stuff it down with food, but it also just helps us more, be more emotionally intelligent, like what's really going on after all. And so these things are really, really important.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about getting back into the body, right? Like, I think our culture is just so designed to keep us distracted from everything you just said, like sitting with the emotions, actually tuning in. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it in the body? All those things. Do you have any specific advice in terms of sort of buffering yourself from all of the messaging that we're getting on a daily basis of, that we need to eat more, or maybe that something's lacking and therefore we're filling it up with food instead of something spiritual?
Yeah. I mean, it is such a habit for sure. And I don't watch a lot of TV. So I'd say number one, turn your TV off. Like you don't need all the commercials reminding you that you should be stuffing yourself, but not to mention the negative messaging, of the news, the negative overload. So 100%. Definitely, yeah, doing a media detox is good, but I just think we have to change our focus. It's the society's not going to change, right? Companies make money from feeding us and making us think making us think we're hungry, so it's just really important. The more self-aware we can become, and the more we get back to what's really important, we are creatures that need connection, and I find that emotional eaters especially need connection, and we need depth, and so I used to always, I'd go to parties, and if everybody was really superficial or the conversation was superficial, I would be really hungry, and I'd stuff myself with food. Whereas instead of try to get along with everybody or be the party girl, I found that if I found one person or two people to really connect with at the heart level during the party, I felt so much better, and I didn't need food or to be hanging out by the buffet table. So I just really love to connect with people and feed my soul that way. It's just so important. And even though I have social anxiety and it's not easy, when I go to a party at first, I just want to, like, when I ring the doorbell, I want to run away, you know, but once I'm in the party, if I can remember, like, it's all about connection. It's all about really being present with people. It is so satisfying. It's just lovely. And there's always good people you can talk to and learn from.
Yeah, I really resonate with everything you're saying, but for me, it was always alcohol. Like, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And everything you just said about, you know, when things got boring or things got uncomfortable or there was a lack of connection, it was all about
100%
refilling drinks.
Yeah. Candy's dandy, but liquor's quicker. So, so it was drinks for me too. Like, I totally relate to that. So, you know, and it's everything. I mean, there's, you know, why stop at one, right? So it's like anything we can stuff with, you know, shopping, spending, you know, pot, gummies, you know, whatever. It's like, we're always distracted and looking for ways to distract, but you know, at the end of the day, they're just feelings, right? Like, they're just feelings. That's really what we need to do, is we need to just stop being so afraid of being with us. I mean, I was on such a run from myself because I was so afraid of what was inside of me, but it wasn't nearly as terrible as I perceived it might be, you know? And so I just really find that if I'm willing to be present with the feelings, they pass, right? This too shall pass is a common slogan in the 12-step rooms. And I used to love that because that's true. Like, if you're just willing to feel your way through it, it's not so terrible.
Yeah. And I think it's important, back to the fact that you're focusing on emotional eating. Our culture is designed to have a million distractions that numb out the bad feelings. But if you really want to get to those quote unquote next level high feelings like bliss and gratitude and joy, you cannot numb out the sadness, the fear, the anger, the frustration, because then you're just sitting in this middle numb place, and you're really losing the capacity to go to the extremes, good and bad.
No question about it. Yeah. You gotta, you know, we kind of have to accept the whole package.
So how's your sister these days?
My sister, she actually led our whole family into a recovery path. So she was the black sheep of the family. We thought she was so weird because she was, you know, kind of on this whole, she was kind of out there. We all judged her, you know, but she was the first one to get help for her food addiction. And on account of that, so, you know, then I followed suit, and so did my other sister. We were all food addicts, you know, and I got sober as well, on that path, along the way too. So I'm so grateful, you know, and she ended up being our angel. And my sisters and I get along so well now because we're all on a healing journey. It's different for all of us. We've all taken different paths, but you know, the end result is the same, is that we're really, we're just living amazing lives on account of it. And even my parents changed. I mean, they never were addicts per se, but you know, if you have 3 daughters who are addicts, you know, and we're all changing and creating boundaries and all this kind of stuff, you know, it definitely made them change too. So it's our whole family really, I'd say, recovered on account of my sister's craziness.
Nice. Well, that's beautiful. You're all on the same frequency now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So tell us more about how people can work with you if they feel like that you are the person that they need to talk to.
Sure. Yeah. So my business is called Heal Your Hunger. No surprise there. And my website is healyourhunger.com. And if somebody connects there, what I recommend is that they start with the quiz. I have a quiz which will tell somebody if they're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between, and they'll get a personalized score. It's like a 2-minute quiz, free quiz. But if you take the quiz, you'll get a personalized score, and then you'll know where you stand on that, on that spectrum. Because I think we're all emotional eaters, to some degree. Yeah. So you find out where you're on the spectrum and then what to do about it. So that's a great place to start. I do a quit sugar challenge every quarter or so, which is really helpful for people as a 5-day challenge. And I do other masterclasses and stuff. So if somebody does end up reaching out, there's lots of things that people can access. And I also have a book on Amazon called Heal Your Hunger, 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. So yeah, all those ways. And Instagram as well. If somebody's an Instagram person, it's Tricia Nelson _ at the end of the N and the last N in Nelson.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Tricia. This has been so amazing. I really appreciate you sharing all your vulnerability. There were some key pieces of your story that I think, it's going to reach the people that it needs to reach. And
you bet.
Who doesn't love a good quiz?
Right? Yeah, it's good.
So we'll share all those links in the show notes so people can easily connect with you. Is there anything else you wanted to leave us with today?
Well, I would just say to people, as a reminder, that it's not about the food. That's kind of what I like to leave people with, is even though it feels like it's about the food when you're in it and you're feeling miserable and you're not fitting in your pants, it's like, I got to go on a diet. But, 98% of all diets fail. So it's really, that's treating it at the symptom level, which was why I believe it doesn't work. So go deeper. It's not about the food. It's really, there is a deeper cause and a deeper solution.
Love that. It's not about the food. So true. Well, thank you so much for being here. And
thank you.
We look forward to being in touch in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Megan. And thank you for your beautiful work as well.
Thank you so much for listening to Energetically You. I hope that this episode has helped you to tune into your natural energy sources so that you feel more energized and focused throughout your day. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more ambitious women just like you accomplish their goals. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it on social or in your Instagram stories, and tag me at Megan Swan Wellness. See you soon.